what are you learning about that terrible word of balance and priority? What are you learning right now in this season?
I still don't believe in balance.
Yeah.
I don't believe in balance at all. I prefer the term integration. And I think through integration, you could perhaps achieve balance, but it's not by seeking balance that you'll ever find what you're really looking for. I should emphasize building my businesses, building my life in such a way that the things that I love, the people I love, what I'm passionate about, all works together.
Welcome to Unreasonable Autonomy. My name is Sarah Grace. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs and innovators who refuse to settle. Here we dive deep into raw, real conversations with boundary pushers who have pursued seemingly impossible ideas and yet have achieved unreasonable results, whether that's in their faith, relationships, health, politics, yes, even business. All of those conversations are happening right here, right now. So let's buckle up because this isn't about playing it safe. Unreasonable ideas, unstoppable results. Let's go.
You guys, welcome back to the Unreasonable Autonomy podcast. You guys, does something look different? If you're watching on YouTube, something looks so different. We are here live in studio, right? We are breaking all of the rules today. We're breaking the rhythm of how we normally just sit across from people on Zoom. And I could not think of a better guest to celebrate this iconic dream of mine, which is to be face to face with people having these kinds of conversations, than with my dear friend, the amazing Parker McCumber. I'm so glad you're here, my friend.
Oh my goodness. Thanks so much for having me here.
Oh, you guys, you are in for it. And my job is to get out of the way so that you can better enter Parker's world. But let me tell you a little bit about why he is a guest here. Like, we are actually recording in his studio. So thank you for the invite.
Absolutely.
It's going to be so good. But this is a guy who is a new friend of mine. He came to my live event. I'm going to be speaking at his live event, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And man, we've just got some really good synergy. But the thing that intrigues me about you, Parker, is I read your book and I follow you online. I know what your businesses are. And I feel like at your quote unquote tender age, you have lived like 15 lives. 15 lives. Like, we're talking serving on local government. We're talking military. We're talking ecom master. We're talking flagpoles. We're talking like, how in the world we'll get into like how you've done that, but what first started you in the world of business so that we can then dissect how it is that you've had so much experience. And like, I'm like way older than you, right? Like, how have you done that? What got you into business in the first place?
An interesting story. So I was born a normal kid in the United States, but we grew up in relative poverty, and not maybe what you see in National Geographic, but what is very real in the United States.
Yeah.
Where your parents keep you up at night because they're arguing about what bills to pay and what checks need to be bounced. And I can remember, in 8th grade playing high school football or just going into football, and my coach making a comment that I needed to eat more meat to bulk up and get strong. And I asked my mother if we could have meat for dinner, and she sobbed.
No.
That moment was a wake-up call for me. One, I guess I never really internalized that we were so poor that we couldn't get like meat. But it was a wake-up call for me in the sense that no one was coming to save me. And so at that point, I'm in middle school. It was, how do I provide for myself? How do I make money? How do I earn? Which set me on my entrepreneurial journey. Me and a neighbor kid started doing landscaping for people, and not just mowing lawns, because that would be too normal, right?
Too normal.
You got like the 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid out there repairing sprinklers, doing parking strips, ripping out and laying sod. I mean, the works. I did that through high school. And then in short, I joined the Army to escape poverty. That was kind of my runaway from home. I learned a lot of discipline and work ethic and how to work as a member of a team. That was kind of my first real team experience. The Army blessed me in a lot of ways. I got to learn how to lead organizations from myself through most recently completing a command with 100 soldiers beneath me.
Wow.
So great developer for organizational leadership. And in short, I took the principles that I learned through my passion for entrepreneurship and the organizational leadership. I merged them together. And that was how I was able to, one, get into businesses, two, scale and grow them very rapidly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm fascinated because I think often entrepreneurships, they're sort of born with a dream, right? And your dream was very much, no one is coming to save me. That's like the through line I'm hearing. And like, I will provide for myself. I am going to earn and provide for myself. And so often in entrepreneurship, we are told from stage and from podcasts and from books, don't chase the money. Don't chase the money, because it can often infect a business's ability and the entrepreneur's ability to be effective, to be integrity driven. How have you navigated this desire to, I'm going to earn and I'm going to earn well up to the level of supercars and beyond, with not letting that get in the way of the integrity of how your business is actually run and serve people?
So even though I had the passion to earn and that was the drive, it was never about the money. It was always about the options. When you grow up poor, you grow up without the option to do anything. You're almost on a fixed path. So deviating from that, part of me finding my way in entrepreneurship was me finding what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, who I was going to become. And then inside of each of those little containers, we'll call them maybe, there's different paths that you can take. So it was never about the money. It was about the optionality for me to have choices.
Wow.
And then obviously the money comes as a byproduct of finding that. And to maybe echo the through line that you identified there a little bit, the defining moment in me finding success in business was when my wife told me she was pregnant with our first son.
Oh.
Before that, I was living on student loans. My wife and I were living in my grandmother's basement. Like, we had objectively nothing.
Yeah.
She tells me that she's pregnant, and something clicks in my head where I have to move the needle. I have to find a way to provide for my family. I have to find a way to feed this child. I can't live in grandma's basement anymore. And so I had this internal struggle where either I was going to go back to the active duty army, and that's a path to 6 figures and stability. But it would also mean that I'm going back to the system that I had left because I felt like it didn't really care about me and wasn't supporting my life goals. And again, that pursuit of options.
Yeah.
Or I needed to figure out how to make entrepreneurship work. So I got into the lab. I got into the nitty gritty. And instead of trying to hit home runs every day, I started trying to just get base hits. I started trying to just move the needle one day at a time.
Ooh.
And eventually you get enough base hits that you get a run. And I just did that over and over and over again for a long enough period of time that eventually I found success with it.
Oh, so if you were to talk directly to those people who have made choices to leave stability, right? Not taking the army path in your phrase, but they have left a 9-to-5, or maybe they're actually in entrepreneurship and they're leaving kind of a stable business model to try something new and expand.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them about what are daily home runs and successes that maybe we should celebrate a little bit more as we're aiming for those big, big, big goals?
Sure. So I teach a concept called the entrepreneur success formula.
Yeah.
In short, continuous action plus continuous learning equals success. The only variable that's not accounted for there is time. Now, if you keep taking action and keep learning how to take that action better at a higher level, more efficiently, more effectively, eventually you win, period.
Yeah.
And that works in any area of life. So when we talk about the daily wins, how did you get better? What action did you take? What were you consistent on? Did you learn how to do any of that at a higher level? If the answer is yes to any of that, you're on the right track. And at that point, it just becomes an obstacle of, can you do it long enough and not give up? There's this thought, it's like 50% of businesses fail in the first year.
Sure.
And then another 50% of the remaining businesses fail in year 2 and another 50% in year 3, something like that, right? So in short, you're ending up with like 80%, 90% of businesses failing in the first 3 years.
Yeah.
If you make it past that first 3 years, your chance of success is exponentially higher. So in those first 3 years, it really just becomes an obstacle of, can I sustain this without quitting? And if the answer is yes, you'll win. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy or comfortable.
Yeah.
It's going to suck. You're going to lose money. You're going to learn a lot of hard lessons. Tough it out for 3 years.
Ooh. And when you say tough it out for 3 years, you mean stay in the same business, sell the same offer, like give it longevity over a 3-year period. And you believe that
you'll learn, right?
You'll
Because go back to that success formula.
Yeah.
You keep taking action. You keep learning how to do it better. Do you believe that you can make money doing pretty much anything now?
Yeah. At this stage in the game, yeah.
If that's true, it just becomes a matter of, are you taking the action to succeed in doing it? And are you learning how to actually make money while you do it?
Yeah.
If you do something for 3 years, it is statistically unlikely, in my opinion, that you won't learn how to do it at a high enough level to make some money.
Oh, yes. Oh, this is so good. And I love your concept of you have to have this combination between like determination and consistency, but also the learning piece. There are a million gurus, big or small, that you could learn certain concepts from. How do you filter through who you choose to learn from and invest in versus who you're kind of like, peace out? That's
what a great question. It's like you've been reading my social media lately.
I think I've prepared for this conversation.
So, there are an excessive number of coaches in the space and gurus, like you said. And to be honest, I think they diminish the value of the coaching space. They give it a really bad reputation, a bad name. The reality, in my opinion, is that when you want to learn how to do something, you go and learn how to do it from someone who's actually achieved verifiable success in that space. So for me, if I want to learn how to run meta ads, Facebook, Instagram, and I want to do it at a very high level, I'm going to go find someone who has had a ton of success in that space that I can verify. Now, the problem with the coaches and gurus, like you said, is there's no barrier to entry. Yeah. Anyone can throw their hat in the ring, start making Facebook posts saying, I'm a coach now, pay me for my services.
Yeah.
And it's scammy because if somebody joins up with them, the reality is they're not actually going to get a benefit other than, maybe a third party observer that's going to tell them, hey, I see this problem.
Yeah.
But they don't have the experience building the thing that you actually want to build to coach you on how to get there. So my number one piece of advice would just be find someone who has verifiably done what you're trying to achieve and then learn from them.
Fantastic. And you can verify that through, referral based and asking around and doing due diligence. Is that a lesson you have learned the hard way?
I am still learning the hard way.
Okay. You want to share?
Yes. So I am a big believer in continuous learning. You'll notice that that's going to be a theme in everything that we talk about because it's central to my life and my success. The continuous learning drive inside of me requires me to constantly invest in myself. Yeah. And one of the ways that I do that is through coaches, masterminds, joining groups and networking and just anywhere that I can go and I can learn from other people who are doing things at a high level. The catch is some people will act like they're doing things at a high level and they're not doing things at a high level.
Yeah.
Or they'll be able to say the buzzwords that matter to you and you're going to connect with those.
Yeah.
And they actually have no experience and they can't really get you anywhere. I've seen this a few times personally, and it's always frustrating to invest any sum of money. And then you get involved with them and you realize this is going nowhere. Now, I don't believe in sunk cost fallacy. I will cut ties immediately and just call it a day and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just don't let it hang over you and discourage you. And it's just on to the next. I learned, moving on to my next experience learning. I love this. So let's rewind a little bit back to that time where you talked about, okay, I'm going to go to the military to escape poverty. And you get back from the military and you said, okay, I'm going to figure out entrepreneurship in some way.
Sure.
And you dove into the world of e-com, right? And by all accounts and verifiable accounts, you have been hugely successful in the e-com world, right? So why that path instead of online marketing, instead of guru, instead of how did you?
I have a story for this.
I hope. Let's hear it.
So I joined the Army to escape poverty.
Yeah.
I was in the streets of Nuremberg, Germany. One of my first duty stations was Vilsek, Germany, with the 2nd Cavalry Regiment. Cobblestone streets, old town, big wall, like classic
Legit.
Europe.
Yeah.
And I turn around, walking out of like a karaoke bar, and there is a Bugatti driving on these cobblestone streets. Now, prior to this experience, I had never seen a Bugatti before, other than, a book or a picture, magazine,
Yes.
or a poster on a wall.
Yes.
All of a sudden, that was very real. That was actually something that could be attained. That was something that was physically manifest in the reality that I was participating in. Mindset necessarily shifts. Something goes from a concept to reality. So I had to stop and assess, okay, well, this can be achieved. That means I can achieve it. If I can achieve it, what must be true? And then I started just digging in.
I love this.
And realizing or studying who is having high levels of success, whether that was, pop culture celebrities, business people that I was encountering on the day-to-day, I started looking for clues to wealth, clues to success, and just studying them over and over and over again. And I realized there were some patterns, and most of these people were not smarter than me, and they weren't luckier than me. It was that they were operating with a different mindset, a different frame of reference. And in short, the common theme was ownership. They all were owners, and not just necessarily of businesses, but I mean, I think about ownership like this. I abhor and detest victim mentality. What is the opposite of a victim? It's somebody who takes ownership of their responsibilities and outcomes. So an owner. All of them had ownership. Most of them had business ownership. All of them had ownership. And so I started to, okay, that's the path I need to go on if I want to achieve that level of success. So I get in my head that I'm going to start a private military contracting company and do security and Blackwater and, have the government pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars to go kick doors and sling lead and drop bombs because they were paying me, to do it anyways, but I might as well get paid more.
Right.
And then I saw the movie War Dogs, if you're familiar with that movie. In the movie War Dogs, you got a couple entrepreneurs that start providing government supply contracts. I said, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, that's an easier path. I can see how to do that. I can reverse engineer this.
Yeah.
So I set out to be the War Dogs movie. And when I separated from the active duty army in 2016, I went into business trying to bid on these government contracts to do supply, and I failed over and over and over again. And I learned that I could not compete with the economies of scale of some of these larger companies that had been existing. And especially not when you factored in that anything the US government bought, it had to be manufactured in the United States with USA sourced materials. And it just became very difficult. So what did I do? I pivoted to direct to consumer. The same things that I was trying to provide the government, protective gear, things like that, I just went to the civilian market. So we got into airsoft, milsim, and paintball, and we shifted that way. And then to grow the brand around it, because it's hard to sell products when nobody knows who you are and what you do. And they're like, who's this random dude sending me an Instagram message telling me he's going to give me a discount to buy his gloves?
Right.
I started building stickers and decals. I maybe I can get you this photo. My wife actually has a picture of me sitting on the couch in my grandmother's basement, sketching out these sticker and decal designs. And in short, what we would do is make these vinyl stickers. They could go on whatever you wanted them to go on, be a bumper sticker if you wanted them to, really high grade. But when we'd sell a lot of them, I viewed that as proof of concept. So I'd take that, then we put it on apparel. And then those would sell, but higher margin. And we just did that over and over and over again until we had built a little bit of a network and a brand around it that let us scale the other products and resources.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I do think there's an iconic view in my mind of you down there sketching and just not knowing what that was going to turn into, right? And what was on the horizon for you. And I think so much about entrepreneurs that are in the basement right now and that have a dream, and they have in many ways the belief. They believe in the Bugatti, right? They believe in those things, and they have those moments right before they fall asleep that they just wonder, am I cut out for this? Right? Am I cut out for this? And I know you don't love victim mentality. My guess is you have had moments where you have wondered if it was going to work, right?
Oh, for sure.
And so what are your turnarounds? What are your tricks? I hate that word tricks because it sounds so snappy and whatever. But
I'll tell you, there's no tricks.
Yeah, there's no tricks. Like how do we step back into that Bugatti mindset when we start to wonder if maybe this isn't meant for me? Maybe I can't do this.
Yes. Okay. I told you when my wife told me she was pregnant.
Yeah.
At that stage in time, I had been trying to build that business for 2 years.
2 years.
I worked for free for 2 years. I took no paycheck. We reinvested every penny back into the business to either develop the next design, get the next product, launch the next test, whatever.
Yeah.
But we reinvested everything into the business for 2 years. And that is the part that people don't maybe recognize. They see the success on the back end and they assume that it was easy and came overnight and all that stuff. And it's simply not true. So for me, I guess the mindset trick that got me to stay consistent with all of that was recognizing when I had a small win, it was always a gateway. When I would have, for example, a design that popped off, that's the gateway to the apparel. The apparel does well. That's the gateway to the next product, the next split test, the next scale. So I knew that there were stepping stones in the right direction. I knew that the volume was increasing. I knew that my capacity was increasing. The catch is you have to have the awareness to recognize where are you after 2 years versus where you started. And even though I haven't made any money, there are a lot of things that I did make. In those 2 years, I learned a lot of skill when it came to Facebook ads. I learned a ton of skill when it came to copywriting. I learned how to build funnels. I learned how to do email marketing. I learned how to do direct to consumer in general. Obviously building a Shopify store, ClickFunnels pages, like a lot of skill that made me a more valuable person.
Yeah.
Subsequently, I could look back and I could say, well, I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. I haven't made a cent, but I'm more valuable now.
Yeah.
The catch was from that 2-year point, then it was exponential. So I think to myself, like my wife tells me she's pregnant in October. November was the first time I woke up and there was like actual money in the account later in November, about a month apart. So
really,
I go from literally a month prior thinking I'm going to have to go back to the active duty army. That'll be how I can make 6 figures. I can provide for my wife. I can provide for our new son. To I woke up and there's $3,500 in my account this morning. That's really cool.
$45.
$3,500.
$3,500. I was like, I'll take the 45, but $3,500 was in your account.
And prior to that, like in all the previous months, I was doing like $1,500 to $2,500 a month in sales. So there was some proof of concept there, but it wasn't scaling, growing, working big.
Yeah.
I go to bed Friday. I wake up Saturday, $3,500 in my account. We did more sales in a 24-hour period than we had in any previous month. But I just did it long enough to get to that point. And then obviously the hook, the ad worked.
Yeah.
The landing page, the story worked.
Yeah.
The offer converted. So at that point, it becomes okay, let's make sure it's not a fluke. Reinvest that money, just like we did for the prior 2 years, back into the ads. And we run it back again. And it goes up. And we run it back again and it goes up. And now I said, okay, 3 days in a row, we've made, 20 grand or whatever after 3 days.
Yeah.
We can do this. And at that point, there was never a doubt. It was all in on that. All in on e-com. And obviously trial and error. And then we got to, catch up with supply and all the stuff. And we probably outsold what we could actually fulfill. And so a lot of problems stem from that. But there was never a doubt after that moment. But that moment took 2 years and a month
Yes.
to get to it.
Yes. Talk to me. You are married. Wife is pregnant at this time.
Mhm.
During those 2 years, what were the conversations? What was the energy that was happening in your marriage at that time with 2 years of unpaid work?
It's so funny because my wife, like, I could not do what she did.
Mm.
I wouldn't have done what she did. Like, if I'm just being honest, and I know no one wants to say that when it comes to this, but this is the reality.
Good.
She invested in me constantly. She never doubted me. She always supported my dream and my ambition and my effort. In hindsight, I probably could not have done the same to someone if the role was reversed.
Interesting.
Because for 2 years, she watched me achieve very little. She watched me earn very little. And to be honest, she was I call her the sugar mama. She was the sugar mama.
Oh.
She was an elementary school teacher. She made $30,000. And she was the provider for our relationship. If we went out to dinner, it's because she was buying.
Yeah.
Now, I was also, I guess at the time, working in the Utah National Guard. So I had drill pay. You work 2 days a month, whatever. It gave me $500. So I had some income there. And then, like I said earlier in the show, student loans. I would take out student loans to have some money. So that was it. But she kept the faith.
Yeah.
Even when I would lose faith, she wouldn't lose faith. It was so surprising to me, like, because I know there were conversations where I would say, like, maybe I just need to go get a job.
Sure.
Maybe I need to go back to, working as a middle manager or in a warehouse or whatever. And she would always tell me, no, I believe in you. No, you could do this. You can achieve this. I can see that you are passionate about this and that you're going to find a way to succeed. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. And at the same time, I was in business school. And so I kind of, personal trick maybe, I associated my timelines with school, which was a blessing and maybe a curse to some degree. But it was, as long as I'm in school, I could get access to student loans. So then I didn't need to go get a real job yet.
Yeah.
Which gave me more time to keep trying to grow the business.
Ooh.
So I delayed quitting until after I was going to be done with my senior year and graduate. But it was my junior year that the company took off.
Your junior year.
Maybe even the end of my junior year. I mean, it would have been the fall 2019. So maybe a semester before I graduated, actually, the beginning of my senior year, the company took off. So like I'm within 3 months of quitting and maybe getting a job or going back to the active duty army. And like we were having that discussion.
Yeah.
But I didn't give up at any point through there because I had associated the timeline with something else.
I love this. And I love just the different roles that everything played in the timing of things working out for you, right? It's, her, being pregnant, that first baby coming. It's also like the timing of like, I'm going to lose access to student loans. And like, we are kind of coming down to the wire and all of these different things that are trying to work together for your good, right? And I want to fast forward now to 2026 when we're recording now, right?
Okay.
And something fascinates me about you that I mentioned in our intro. And that is the idea that it seems like you would just stay in e-com and just rinse and repeat. And then if you decided to go the guru model, wouldn't you just teach people how to do e-com and just stay into the space? Instead, I see you in this world of, I am going to teach about, mission systems, right? I'm going to teach about teams. I'm going to do live events. I'm going to step into this new space. I'm going to learn storytelling and webinars. And like, it seems like you are constantly looking for learning opportunities, but some that may not seem like the easiest road to take, right? I mean, you're serving in your local government right now.
Roads. You
like went into politics, like and just like little product placement here, right? How the hell are you doing this? I want to say like, why are you doing this? Why are you taking this approach of such a diverse life? Like, feel like I just asked you like 20
You
questions.
did. You asked me a lot of questions.
But like,
we're going to dive in.
I have serious interest in this part of your life. Why are you doing all of this? Let's start there.
Okay. Unreasonable autonomy.
Great placement there. Yeah.
Well, it gets a little bit heavier in this part of the conversation.
Yeah.
I believe that there is a God who created me and who gave me skill and talent and let me have experiences to develop them. If that is true, I have an obligation associated with each of those things. So there's a spiritual level to it for me. Why do I get into all of the craziness? Woof. Woof. The reality is, in my mind and logic, that these things are all necessary for me to learn more. I talked a lot about continuous learning and the pursuit of always trying to extract the lesson, the skill, the knowledge, the experience more than anything. Because if I seek more of those, if I learn more things, I show up as a better XYZ whatever. I'm a better husband and father when I have a more diverse background of experiences to draw on. I am a better city councilman as I continue to pursue my higher education. I'm a better e-com owner as I learn more when it comes to business management, leadership, marketing, storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things fuel each other. So I just keep expanding the horizon because I recognize that, one, I think I have a moral, ethical, spiritual obligation. Two, I find that the more I do this, the more I'm rewarded in other areas of my life.
Do you feel that God has intervened?
Many times. Like without hesitation, I know for a fact the hand of God has pushed me into a lot of the stuff that I'm in.
So do you have specific experiences where you're like, that was God?
Yes. I'll give you the collection.
I'll take it.
In 2016, spring 2016, maybe February 2016, I was not convinced that I was getting out of the active duty Army yet. I was the best in the Army. Like without a doubt in my mind, I was the best forward observer in the United States Army. Forward observer is the guy that like controls artillery and mortars and airstrikes and drops bombs and all that cool stuff.
Cool stuff.
I was due for a reassignment. I reached out to my branch manager and said, look, coming up on my PCS, permanent change of station, and I want to, look at where I can be assigned. I understand that if I communicate with you, I can see what positions are open and maybe I could influence my assignment. He goes, yeah, sure. Tell me where you want to go. I said, I would love to go to Fort Carson, Colorado. He says, sorry, can't get you there. Where else? I said, well, if I can't go to Fort Carson, how about Fort Lewis, Washington? He goes, nope, sorry, not available. I said, what about Fort Irwin, California? It's kind of close to home. It would be a crappy place, but 8 hours from the house. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, not available. I said, okay, well, I gave you my top 3. What is available? He says, you could go to Fort Drum, New York, or Fort Polk, Louisiana. Those are my bottom 2 places. Oh, I said, is there anything else? He goes, well, if we delay your move a month or 2, I could send you to Fort Richardson, Alaska, or Wainwright, Alaska. J-Bear, there's 2 stations in Alaska. I can go to either of those. I said, you know what? I am not interested in any of those. He's like, well, that's all I can do for you. You're going to one of those places. I said, I'm going to go talk to the reserve component career counselor. Reserve component career counselor. I walk in immediate, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like the calm,
really?
The reassurance.
You felt it.
I felt it when I walked into that office. I grew up in Lehi, Utah. I sit down across from the guy. I said, hey, could you help me find a job in the reserves or the National Guard? I'm a 13 Fox Forward Observer, fire sports specialist. I'm an E5 at the time, eligible to maybe promote to the next level.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, what state do you want to go to? I said, Utah. He goes, okay. How would you like to take a targeting NCO position in Lehi, Utah? I said, I would love that. It's my hometown. Now, that targeting NCO position is an E7, so that would be a sergeant first class. I was a sergeant. I was eligible for that middle ground, but that would essentially fast track me a couple promotions and put me in my hometown. And I said, absolutely. Like, it was the first job that came up. The only thing he said to me, immediately I knew that that's where I was supposed to go.
Wow.
So instead of walking away from the Army, the hand of God kind of pushes me into, you need to go to the National Guard.
Yeah.
And, oh, hey, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. And we're going to set you up with everything you ever wanted. That was really cool for me. The second time, the story I just told you about, it took 2 years. I'm reinvesting everything. And the weekend that I woke up and I had money in my account was also the final weekend that I had to make the decision if I was going to back to the active duty Army or if I was going to stay in the National Guard. I mean, like Friday, I had a major who's, Parker, you need to declare, like, you're already late and overdue. We have to submit this to Department of the Army so that they know, like, are you going to the active duty Army or are you going to the Guard? And I literally am in his office on Friday begging him, would you please just give me till Monday? What difference does it make if you submit it now or Monday morning?
What difference does it make?
What difference does it make? Okay. We'll give you till Monday morning. But Saturday, I wake up with money in the account. Sunday, we do it again. So Monday morning, we reinvest. The Sunday to Monday payoff is even greater. So on Monday morning, I go and I tell him no, staying in the National Guard. What are the odds or the chances that would happen in that time frame and proximity to having to make such a large life choice? So then from that point on, I'm like, all in. God wants me in the Utah National Guard. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm doing. So there's those couple, and that's military related more.
Yeah.
But those actually coincide hand in hand with the e-com business. Where if I were to ever go active duty or had taken a different path, I would have never achieved the success that I achieved in those other ways, because that aligned me with being at school in Utah Valley University and in the ROTC programming and networking with some of those connections and doing my undergrad thesis on, like, what made veterans more likely to be entrepreneurs. Like, all of these things kind of stacked up. But then that thesis was the first thing that caused me to be a little bit more introspective and recognize it's the leadership piece that's making me successful. I'm not inherently good at business. I am good at leading people, myself, and teams. And then it's that leadership that multiplies the outcome. So all these things connect.
Yes.
I think those are the best two examples I could give. There's maybe a couple more when it comes to, like, for example, city council. I got into politics.
It blows my mind.
It's crazy.
This whole area of your life.
Prior to getting involved in politics, I wrote opinion pieces for national news outlets, mostly on politics and economics. And I had a mentor in that space who essentially told me, look, if you want to make real difference, you need to get involved in local politics, build a following, coalition, and grow from there. Because I would write really good pieces and I would essentially get 2,000 to 3,000 views on them, and then people would forget who I was.
Sure.
Right after I get told that, hand of God moment, a city council person in my hometown resigned. And that triggers a special election where the sitting council votes on the replacement. In short, I threw my hat in the ring. I was given 3 minutes to get up and present why I should be a city council person in Vineyard.
Elevator pitch moment.
A 3-minute elevator pitch. My name's Parker McCumber, and I'm a rocket scientist turned... Oh, crap. I already messed it up. My name's Parker McCumber, and I'm an Army-trained rocket scientist turned entrepreneur. That was my hook. Really good hook, right?
Good. It's so good.
I give them this pitch. They don't choose me. Whatever. They don't choose me.
Whatever.
I turn to walk out of that room, though, at the end of this, when they appoint somebody else. And there's a line of people, literally in single file line, from out the door, in, up the aisleway to meet me where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
And I turn around and I shake some hands. I'm talking to these people, and they just one by one. And I'm like, I was just going to go home and have dinner.
Yeah.
So I stay and meet all these people. I shake their hands. I talk to them for a minute. And the theme throughout there is, Parker, are you going to run for city council? Parker, we want you to run for city council. Parker, you should be on the city council. My wife and I kind of talk after this, and we're like, oh, that was really cool. There was a lot of community support there. Don't really think anything of it. After, maybe a week has passed, it's kind of out of my mind. January, February of 2025, I start getting phone calls. Hey, Parker, are you going to run for city council this year? I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't even know who you are. Oh, we saw your presentation last November, and
your presentation.
We just really wanted to support you if you're running for city council. Okay, that's weird. It's not even election season yet, but I started getting phone calls. In March, I get a phone call from a group that had put together a political action committee. They said, hey, Parker, we want you to be our candidate for city council. We want to back you. We'll help you do your fundraising. Oh, this is more serious now. There are people forming coalition to support me. So I turned to my wife and I asked her, I said, at what point, if people are asking me for the service, do I have an obligation, be it how you see ethics or morals, to serve? If people see that you have the capacity to serve, they know that you can help them, at what point do you have an obligation to help them? So we have this little bit of an internal debate. My wife, always the most supportive wife that a wife could be.
Yeah.
She's like, if you are even having that thought, you should run. So I run for city council, throw my hat in the ring, and I win in a landslide. I get 65% of the vote.
65%.
I get 65% of the vote. I get more votes than any city council member in city history has received. Obviously, I'm supposed to be there, right?
What? Let me interrupt you.
Please.
Why do you think you won?
What a great question. I could give you some maybe really self-centered answers about
I'll take any of them.
I was the smartest candidate, the most well-spoken, the best educated. I had the good platform.
What? Why
Correct.
did you win?
I think what it really boiled down to was I was really good at, 1, sharing my story, 2, explaining how my experience from that story could help them.
Amen. So good. And what has been your biggest surprise on what it's like to serve on a city council?
Oh my goodness. Don't share this in Vineyard City. I'm constantly surprised, appalled, taken back, shocked.
Yeah.
There's a variety of things. The first is the workload, the volume of, and part of this is there was a big shift in the city this year when we took office, where the previous administration and the current administration not aligned on pretty much anything. That meant also that the city employees who were aligned with the previous administration were not aligned with us on anything. So there was massive turnover. And with that massive turnover, there's also then the need to train, develop, systematize, all things I'm really good at.
Teams, yeah.
But it made the first 6 months of being in office difficult because now you have people like, for example, a new finance manager Coming in, no experience with government accounting or that process. It's different. And then you got to do the budgeting process and everything. That's different than running a private company. So there's a big learning curve. And that was a surprise to me. The second aspect is the actual volume of workload. What I mean by that is I very consistently spend 20 plus hours a week, either answering residents and emails and text messages and phone calls about that stuff, but also engaging with city staff and the mayor's office. And
20 hours a week.
Correct. It became literally a part-time job.
Wow.
It's not paid like a part-time job, but we're not doing it for the money.
Yeah.
But I wish people understood that.
Yeah.
Like there is a huge sacrifice when it comes to time.
Yeah.
Because necessarily that's time that I'm not spending in my businesses. It's time that I'm not spending with my wife. It's time that I'm not spending with my kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do love so much that there's sort of this wild card in your life of this, city council thing, which is not necessarily entrepreneurship based with the listeners here. But this was really the component I wanted to really ask sort of a final question about.
Sure.
Is if you are the guy that has lived 13 lives in your short time here on Earth.
At least.
I'm sure I'm miscounting for sure.
There's a lot you don't know about yet.
Oh, well, part 2, right? I'm going to have to do a part 2. And I do think so much as a woman of your wife and of your kids. And at the time of this recording, you have a new baby, right?
Yes.
New baby.
Born April 1st.
And I have seen on your Facebook, social media, that you have shared that there are times in which you are not spending the time you want to with them.
Yes.
Right. And so what are you learning about that terrible word of balance and priority and, those terrible words? Like, what are you learning through this process of those that you are deeply devoted to, right? You really are. And I know you've built so much because you want to provide. And I know you want to provide more than food and shelter and fun. You want to provide time. What are you learning right now in this season?
I still don't believe in balance. Yeah. I don't believe in balance at all. I prefer the term integration. And I think through integration, you could perhaps achieve balance, but it's not by seeking balance that you'll ever find what you're really looking for.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is I should emphasize building my businesses, building my life in such a way that the things that I love, the people I love, what I'm passionate about, all works together.
Wow. And how will you know if it's working?
Because all the things I love are working together.
Are they currently working?
Yeah.
They are.
Right now, they're working. Now, that might change on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, in a weekend, in fact.
Because it was just a couple weeks ago that I made the post that I think you are referencing to. My kids came upstairs. I was in between calls for city council.
Yeah.
They just want to come have a snack with dad. That's what it was. They brought some protein bars upstairs. They wanted to sit in the office, have a snack with me. And I was letting them, eat it around me, and they getting loud and starting to play and talk. And I'm on a phone call. And so, hey, kids, you got to go. You got to get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I just feel horrible afterwards because my wife had sent me a message. And she wasn't doing this to hurt me at all. She was trying to say, the kids were so grateful you let them come up in the office. They loved it so much. They enjoyed being with you.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's what mattered the most to them. And I set them away.
Yeah.
And now I'm a horrible dad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it reframes then in my mind, they just needed a little bit of time and attention. Now I'm going to make sure I go out of my way to get them more time and attention. Yeah. So then the next day, I just essentially time budget. I know it sounds weird to say you're budgeting time for your family, but I budgeted time. So take the kids outside, go jump on the trampoline, push them on the swings, play with them for a little bit, play some Pokemon cards with my son, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also want to frame that's not possible if I don't run my businesses the way I run my businesses. So they do still support each other, even in moments of frustration.
Yeah.
The area where I have the least control is actually probably the city council, because I'm beholden to state code, city code, law, For example, I actually just recently had to lose a weekend because of grandma requests. Grandma requests is Government Records Act, Government Records Accountability Management Act, something like that. But essentially, if somebody requests documents via grandma, which includes my emails, my text messages, whatever pertaining to the city council role, I have to go back, search all of my communication, all my electronic documents, and provide them. And there's a set timeline that has to occur in, which essentially meant my Saturday and Sunday had to be spent combing through every email I've sent in the last 6 months, every text message I've sent in the last 6 months.
Wow.
And that's a lot. So it took up a ton of time. That time necessarily is time that I'm not spending with my kids again. I don't have control when it comes to the city council. I have control when it comes to everything else.
Yes.
And everything else is what's supporting everything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
City council is an outlier.
And to be able to sit in kind of both of those spaces, I mean, no pun intended, autonomy is the name of the podcast, right? Unreasonable autonomy. And most entrepreneurs, that's what we're seeking for, is an unreasonably free life, right?
Yes.
And I love how you talk about that. That to me is options. And you're trying to oscillate these two worlds of I am quite free in how I've built my businesses, but I have felt called to city council, which is taking away some of my ability to choose and options. And no doubt that will bring more learning and more
But it was only because I had the choice and the options that I could do that.
Amen. And truly the blessing and sight of your wife as well.
Absolutely.
You know, to have that. And I think those partnerships can create pure magic in what we're doing. Parker, we're going to have to do this again because I just have a million things I want to ask you. It's amazing. It's amazing. And so I hope, I'll put in my own personal spin on something here that I hope our listeners, as they've heard this conversation with Parker, recognize the imperfections of the journey, right? The imperfections and the give and take and the non-reality of balance, right? And also just an absolute drive with God intervening in that drive that just allows us to become the best version of ourselves, right? And so I'm hoping you'd be open to a couple of last minute rapid fire questions to finish off this conversation with I hope what will be another conversation, which we can bring you more on and talk about the other 10 lives that you've lived. That
I'm happy to take the questions, but I have to throw an interjection in.
Please.
You just mentioned, the imperfections and being able perhaps to let God intervene, or God did intervene, but I wanted to extend the challenge to the viewer to let God intervene.
I'm personally going to take that challenge to allow God to intervene.
Entrepreneurs, people who run businesses, people who want to be leaders, you get in your head that you can do stuff. And that's true that you can do stuff, but you can also get in your own way a lot. Let God intervene.
I agree. And I don't know if you know Richie Norton, but Richie Norton taught me that if something just sounds really stupid, that's God. If it just sounds stupid, go with it, right? That's my own little trigger.
I haven't heard that before. I like that.
Yeah. I'll have to tell you more about that after we record. But wise advice. And I hope you've taken the challenge of what Parker has said to let God intervene. I believe that's a weakness of ours as entrepreneurs. So you ready for some rapid fire?
Okay, send them.
Okay. You cannot say your book, okay? But what is one book? What is one book besides yours that every entrepreneur must read?
Oh. So in the back of my book, there is a reading list.
Oh.
It is my recommended book list. There's 12. There's one for each month. Now, I'll give you two.
Please.
One's a book, one's an essay.
Deal.
The book is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink.
Love it.
Now, whether you agree, disagree, because it is extreme, it will teach you a different way of thinking about ownership. And when I talked about ownership earlier, my personal spin is it is the antithesis of victim mentality. That Jocko Willink's ownership, the way he explains in the book, is largely the maximalization of taking responsibility. I think it changes the way that people think about what they're responsible for and how they act as a result.
I love it.
The essay that I think is important is titled I Pencil. It's the number one thing on my reading list. I Pencil is an essay written by Leonard Reed that discusses, it's really written about, economic systems, but it discusses how even a number 2 pencil could not ever be created by a singular individual.
Oh.
Think about this. The graphite is mined in Africa. The tin that goes around the top of the pencil and the wood come from South America. The rubber eraser on the top, gum from a gum tree, right? Like, so there's all these different components, and then they have to be machined. Do you have the knowledge on how to mine all of those components?
No.
Do you have the knowledge on how to machine those components?
No.
You might understand how the components go together, but without somebody who has the expertise in mining graphite, chopping down the gum tree, refining that into the gum eraser, putting the wood together, right?
Love it.
It requires a team. So I like the way that it teaches you to think about teamwork. It's really written against central planning, but it's an interesting read that will condition you to think about working ensemble and with incentive.
I am so intrigued. I don't think I've been more excited to dive into a book essay recommendation than that
Short
one.
essay.
I'm in.
Yeah. It's
I'm
like
in.
5 pages.
I love it. I love it. Okay, question number 2
Okay.
is, what is one thing on your bucket list that you have not done yet?
Oh, goodness. One thing on my bucket list I haven't done.
You just finished the Ferrari tour.
I just
so
finished a Ferrari
You can't say
tour.
that one.
You know, it's interesting. My bucket list isn't really about me anymore.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's going back to the options, the optionality, providing things for my family. So something that I've wanted to do many times and I haven't got to do it yet was I want to take my wife to Paris.
Oh, fabulous. It will happen.
It will happen.
Yeah.
You know, I had actually booked flights and tickets and everything a couple years ago. My wife had just got pregnant though.
Oh.
And with Theodore, our third child. And I realized that she was going to be 8 months pregnant. So it probably wasn't a good time. So we ended up canceling the trip. And
yeah,
but it'll happen.
It will happen.
But that is on my bucket list. It's the top of my bucket list.
Incredible to take her to Paris.
Take my wife to Paris.
And if you don't follow him on social, make sure you do so you can see the Ferrari tour. It's actually pretty amazing what you guys just did.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I could ever travel again. I mean, I'm going to, but I like
how do you
Ferrari does it right.
I have no doubt. That got added to my bucket list because I'm totally a Ferrari girl. And I'm like, okay, we just added that on and now I know who to call when
It's
I need to
necessary.
Necessary.
It's necessary.
Yeah. I love it. I now have permission and it's like my Bugatti moment, right? I'm having my Bugatti moment right now.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. All right. Third question is about your wife.
Okay.
All right. I want you to fast forward to the end of your life together.
Woof.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Woof. Not there yet. Right. What do you hope she says about what it was like to do life with you?
That it was the best. There is no substitute. There is no other parallel or option that could have rivaled that one.
I love it. Paris trip included.
Paris trip included.
I love it. I love it. Well, exceptional answers to some really fun questions there at the end. And to my listeners, really turn it over to Parker to give you your challenge based upon this conversation. And that is wherever you are at, whether you are in the basement, whether your business is falling apart, whether you're in the 9-to-5 and aren't sure whether you can get out of it or survive, or whether a life event just happened that feels like the impossible. I am down to the wire. I am down to that Friday evening of needing to make a decision. That the challenge is to let God intervene, right? And that you now have an obligation in your life to partner with him and create something truly unreasonable. Thank you again, Parker, for an incredible conversation and for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me at The Real Parker McCumber on Instagram.
Do it. It's all linked in the show notes. Rock and roll. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Unreasonable Autonomy podcast. If you loved this episode, my guests and I would love to hear about it. Go to the show notes to reach out and let me know what resonated with you or what topics or guests you want to hear in the future. I am here to create for you. Look, I deeply admire your commitment to pushing boundaries and going after an unreasonable life. Keep dreaming big, taking bold steps, and expecting the unreasonable. For more, go to the show notes to dive deeper into the conversations that will keep you going. Thanks for being here.